All right, y'all. So, going to be doing a few of these little breakdowns, trying to explain some of the tools and things I use to try to get an edge on the gambling market. As some of you know, I created a whole data point in the WNBA, potential assist, which is used in the NBA, but does not exist for the W. And I used that to really corner a market in the W, and I did really, really well. Using the NFL data, they already have a lot of the existing data, so it's more about how do I utilize that data to find the edges. And one of the things I did is I created a data sheet that kind of lists out the most important concepts and pieces of information I want to know when evaluating whether or not a running back can hit his rushing yard line. So I'm using last week as a good example here, and I have a tweet pulled up. It says running backs versus the Dolphins the last 3 weeks. Quinshon Judkins, 22 rushes, 80 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kamani Vidal, 18 rushes, 124 yards. And Rico Dowdle, 23 rushes, 206 yards. Naturally, you think Bijan Robinson coming into this game should be in line for a great day and a game that they are going to be favored and a game that he should get the ball 15 to 20 times. But Bijan Robinson rushed for 25 yards on 9 carries. So what went wrong and how did I understand maybe to stay away from this? I didn't necessarily bet on the under, but I stayed away from it due to the data that I was looking at. First and foremost, when you look at this game, you have to look at not just how many yards per carry they're allowing, but how did they get those yards? So Quinshon Judkins is a fantastic example. So one rush was 46 yards. The other rushes accumulated the rest of that. So over half his yards came on one rush. Rico Dowdle had similar kind of success there. So you're seeing a lot of these explosive runs. But when you see these explosive runs, that doesn't always necessarily mean you're going to have sustained success, and especially if you start getting down like the Falcons did. And so I'm going to share my data sheet here and show kind of what I'm talking about in just a moment. All right. So you can now see my data sheet up here. And what I have here is really just a breakdown of the concepts they're using as a running back. And then going forward, what does that defense typically perform against those similar concepts? What is the success rate? What is the stuff rate? And what is the explosive run rate? And so you can see here, while many people were talking about Bijan Robinson as a #1 running back going into last week, I actually had Bijan Robinson listed as let me see what number he is here, my 15th best running back. So why? Well, naturally, you see this 5.32 yards per carry allowed against zone schemes. That is pretty enticing. But then you start looking at some of the other numbers. The success rate overall has not been high. The stuff rate is pretty high for the Dolphins, which means they are stopping running backs before getting any yards, okay? But then you see the explosive runs at 9.8. So really what that is telling me is it's kind of boom or bust. You stop them or you don't. But when it's boom or bust, that leaves a lot of opportunities for bust. And then you look at the fact that the Falcons were starting Kirk Cousins, who is a statue back there. And the Dolphins, coming off a horrible game, were likely going to kick it into high gear. Their offense was going to figure things out. And ultimately what we saw was Bijan Robinson rushing for 25 yards on 9 carries. So this sheet is not going to tell you exactly who to bet on, but it gives you some interesting data points to start looking and paint a different picture than what you are typically seeing from people who are just kind of shouting things out from the rooftop on X. So hopefully this was helpful. If you like this, if you're looking to get more, please comment in the DM, say data. I'll send you over my sheet so you can take a look at those next week, and I'll be providing more content here going forward. Thanks, y'all.